guys, Coach Ali coming at you with another full body mobility video. The exercises we're about to run through are going to be a little combination of dynamic and static stretches for you to hit all points of the body. But the special thing about this video is all the exercises I'm going to show you are what I like to call non-supportive exercises. So if you are having, say, a shoulder injury, an elbow injury, or a wrist injury where it's hard to support your own body weight when we're just simply stretching, all of these are that non-supportive for you. So you can still get through the whole thing without compromising an injury to that upper body by holding your own body weight. So let's dive into this. As we go through the program, while you're learning it, it might take you about 20-25 minutes plus to get through the whole thing, but the more that you do it, the more you learn these exercises and learn the routine, how long you need to hold, what stretches when, how many reps you need to do, stuff like that, the faster it will go through. So keep in mind, the first couple times you do this, you'll be on that higher side, 20-25 minutes plus, but it'll get shorter and shorter for you as you learn that routine. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna do a calf stretch. So I've got a box here. You can do this to a wall, to a leg of a table, leg of a chair, any type of supported surface, you can do this too. The calf stretch is exactly what it sounds like. I'm gonna take one leg, prop that foot up against the box, and I'm gonna just bring the heel down to the ground and move forward. My other leg, I don't want the leg that's not working to come up on its toes like this because I don't want to stretch both the calves out at once. Especially if your arches are a little tight, this could be a little cause for concern in this non-working leg here, in this case my left leg. So I'm just gonna use this one as a non-working leg and really just try to get my whole body stacked over that ankle. So you can see my ankle that's propped up against the box here is stacked underneath my hips and is stacked underneath my shoulders. I'm not behind that ankle at all. So that's the position that we want to try to aim for. If that's too easy for you and you want a little deeper of a stretch, you can move the heel even closer to the box. Even just by doing that, I don't even need to move forward anymore because I can feel that stretch already. If that's too much of a stretch, just back that heel up a little bit. Just try to always keep the body stacked over the ankle. That's your calf stretch. You're going to hold that 30 seconds aside. Next, ankle rotations. The ankle rotations are a warm-up to the actual ankle stretch. So you're going to do 10 per side per direction. So essentially you'll do 20 per side, 10 to the left, 10 to the right on each side. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to take my toes of my left foot here, and I'm just going to very relaxingly just try to move this ankle, trying to hit the full range of motion, 10 to the right, and then 10 to the left. I'm getting a couple of pops in there as that ankle just kind of loosens up. Now we want these to be really big circles. So in a couple of videos ago, we talked about the shoulder joint being a ball and socket joint. Now if this is the ball and the socket here, whenever I do shoulder circles, I'm trying to hit all aspects of that joint. So I'm not trying to keep this really tight, I'm trying to really hit all aspects in that circular motion. And it's going to be the same with the ankles. So I'm not keeping tight, tiny circles like so. I'm doing real big sweeping motions, trying to stretch the ankle in all different directions. If you see this from the side, you can see the difference between tight circles and really big sweeping circles. 10 to the right, 10 to the left per leg. Next, moving on to our ankle stretch itself. So I'm going to use this box again. If I can get a little bit better image here. All right. So I'm going to use this box again. And what I'm going to do is I've got my right foot here, and I'm going to put my right up against the wall or the box. Move your knee into the box. That's pretty easy. You can see I can do that without relatively any issue, but I don't feel a stretch. And we're trying to feel a stretch right at the back of the ankle, right in the Achilles tendon right there. So instead, I'm gonna move that foot about an inch away from the box. Now, I can still push in, really simple for me to do, and I don't feel a stretch. So it's too easy, I'm gonna back it up a little bit more. Now I can push in, and I'm starting to feel a little stretch, but I can push that a little bit more. So I'm gonna back it up maybe about half an inch now. And the goal that you're trying to hit with this is trying to find a spot where my knee can touch or graze that box without this heel popping up. If I were to back this up even more, if I hit, my foot immediately pops off the ground. I have found my end range of motion in this right ankle. So I found the end range of motion. I'm gonna bring it forward a little bit. And now, popping in, and I can feel that stretch. My heel's still on the ground, and I can feel that stretch all in the back of the Achilles here. Now, once you find that position, there are two ways you can do this stretch. We're gonna hold 30 seconds aside. You can do that in a static way, where I simply just hold the stretch for 30 seconds aside. Or you can do this in a slightly dynamic way, where I have a timer for 30 seconds, and I can back it off as needed, and then go right back into it. So maybe I hold for 2-3 seconds, back it off, give that ankle a little break, go right back into it, hold 2-3 seconds, back it off. So there's two options for that ankle stretch, dynamic or static way for you to do that. Next, stretching the hamstrings in a dynamic way. So what I'm going to do is put my arm out about parallel to the ground, and we're gonna do what's called Frankenstein's. So my left arm is out, which means my right leg, my toes are gonna try to touch the palm of my hand, and you'll feel a stretch throughout the entire back of the leg and the hamstrings. Bam. Switch, right like so. If that is too easy, you can move the hand up higher. If parallel's too high, you're not hitting the toes to the hand, just bring that hand down a little bit. Bam, bam, 10 per side. Next, we're gonna take it to the ground. We're gonna expand on those hamstrings a little bit more by doing a 1 foot in, 1 foot out stretch. So I've got 1 foot out, 1 foot in. This leg is a non-working leg, so I'm gonna tuck it in as much as I can. I'm gonna reach for those toes. Now the way that I'm gonna reach, I'm not just gonna collapse down and reach for those toes. I'm gonna keep my chest tall, and I'm trying to touch the outside of my ribs to the top of the leg. It's not gonna happen, but I want you to visually think of that. That way we're starting to get a little lower back stretch on this side as well by reaching for those toes. My chest is pointed to the wall in front of me. Now if you can't reach for the toes, you can reach for the ankle, you can reach for the shin, and you'll feel a stretch right in the back of the leg. You're gonna hold that for 30 seconds aside. Let's take it back up. Now you're gonna do a quad stretch. A quad stretch, you'll need a chair for this one, or even a couch will do just fine. You're gonna push 1 foot on the box, kind of just hop out a little bit to where you're comfortable, and all you're gonna do is try to squat down and stop when you feel this stretch in the quad here. It's not that much of a distance. You can see I'm just about parallel, and I can feel this quad stretching, and the way that I'm feeling that is as I'm going down into this seemingly one-legged squat, the knee that's bent is moving back towards the box naturally. I'm not forcing it that way, it just happens very naturally, but I'm gonna find the point where I've got a stretch, and I'm just gonna hold. You can treat this the same as the ankle stretch one. This is a static position, hold for 30 seconds. If we're getting a little off balance, just pop up, take another deep breath, go back down, hold for 2-3 seconds, pop up, and do that until the timer goes off. That's gonna be your quad stretch today. Now we're gonna take it back down to the ground. We're gonna start talking about the lower back. Your lower back stretch today. It's a play on the iron cross stretch, but we're not gonna do the iron cross stretch. So, I'm lying on the ground, back's down, but my knees are bent, and I'm gonna put my head on the ground for this, totally relaxed in the upper body. I'm gonna take one leg, and I'm gonna cross it, just like I would cross my legs if I was sitting in a chair. And I'm gonna take this leg that's on top, the one that's crossing my other leg, and use that to pull the crossed leg down. And from here, I'm gonna look in the opposite direction. And you should feel a stretch all in the lower back for this. Now if we see this from the front, so I'm gonna cross my right leg over my left. So I'm lying back, I've crossed the legs, I'm using my right leg to pull that left leg down. It's not touching the ground because my mobility doesn't allow me to touch the ground. If you can touch the ground, great. And I'm gonna put downward pressure on this left leg, the cross leg, with the leg that's doing the crossing. So my right leg has crossed the left, and I'm gonna use the right leg to pull the left leg down and add a little downward pressure while I am looking in the opposite direction. So my knees are pointed to the right, I'm looking to the left. And you should feel lower back stretch right in this area here, depending on the side that you're stretching. It's a great stretch to target some of those lower back muscles that are around that sciatic nerve. So now let's talk outside of the hips. Let's talk about a 90-90 pigeon. So the 90-90 pigeon, I've got one leg, and I'm gonna get in that pigeon right like so. But my other leg is gonna be right like so. So I've got this sweet little 90-90. I've got a 90-degree front knee, and I've got a 90-degree back knee. Now you can see I've got a lot of space here. That's mobility, okay? Poor mobility. So ideally, my hips would be on the ground when I feel this stretch, but my hip flexors are tight, so it's holding me above the ground. Okay, if I show you this from the front, I've got 90 degrees in that left leg, 90 degrees in that back leg, right like so. And I'm just holding, I'm even supporting my own self, kind of right like so, pretty simply like that, okay? Both 90-90, 90-90. So after that 90-90 pigeon stretch, you're gonna hold that 30 seconds aside. You're gonna do a shin to box with an emphasis on the hip flexors. So the 90-90 stretch and the shin to box stretch that I'm about to show you, these will most likely be the two hardest stretches in this whole program. So if you can't do them yet, that's okay. Figure out where you are with these stretches, and then the more you do this, you'll be able to see how you progress in these two stretches alone, because these two are very hard. The shin to boxes. So I'm in this 90-90 position, right, like so, okay? From here, what I'm gonna do is pivot on this knee. So I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna turn, so that way you can see my foot, my forward foot is facing the outside, or sorry, the inside of the knee that's down. And I'm gonna push my hips forward, and I feel a stretch in the leg that's still in that 90-90 in the hip flexors. Okay, so I'm gonna sit back down. Got that 90-90 pigeon stretch again. Pivot off this front knee, turn that foot. Left leg, the leg that's back, comes to the side. So you'll be kind of in this triangle position. Hips the top of the triangle, side of the triangle, my opposite knee is the side of the triangle, with the inside of my forward foot facing the inside of my opposite knee, and I'm gonna push my hips forward, okay? If you wanna see a different angle of this, so I'm in my 90-90, okay? Got this nice open space between my foot and my knee. I'm gonna start by moving this foot back. This knee I'm just gonna pivot off of. So now instead of my chest facing this way, my chest is facing this way at an angle, and I'm gonna move this knee here. So I've got this triangle, pushing my hips forward. Now I can feel a hip flexor stretch here. Squeeze the glutes when you do this, and that's gonna force those hips forward for you, and hold for 30 seconds aside. Now let's take it up to the ground. Again, 2 very hard stretches. I don't suggest this type of floor when you do this because it can kind of ruin your knees a little bit. So, as we stand, we're gonna start targeting the IT bands, the outside of the hips. We're gonna do what I like to call a lazy IT band. I'm gonna take one foot, cross it over the other, very lackadaisical, right like this. I can kind of move around. This foot is just crossing the other. The leg that's straight, in this case, my right leg, the one that's being crossed, straight leg, I'm gonna push this hip to the wall that's closest to me. So I'm literally turning this way, but as I bend this way, I need to be actively pushing this hip out. So I've bent, and now I'm pushing this hip out, really focusing on getting this hip to touch the opposite wall. It's never going to, but that's how much I want to do this. So you can see the difference between just a bend and a bend as I push this hip out. Watch this hip here, right? And I can feel this all right in that TFL area, right at the start of the IT band, right at the front of the hip, and that's exactly where we want to hold that. 30 seconds aside. This leg, it's kind of just like a kickstand. I can even do it without, right? But I like the kickstand version a little bit better. If I do the other side, crossing, bend and push that hip to that wall, and you'll feel that stretch. Solid. Back down to the ground, the dragon stretch. So a lot of confusion with the dragon stretch. I'm gonna be in a non-working lunge for this. A non-working lunge because I just wanna stay 90-90 here. I'm not stretching anything if I were just to stay here. Think of, you're the front row of that soccer team picture. You're not really working, you're just kind of balancing here. I'm gonna take a nice deep breath, tighten the core. I want all of this braced. I want my shoulders stacked over my hips and my hips over this back knee. And from here, all I'm gonna do is squeeze my butt so that way it's slowly and very slightly gonna push this hip forward. So if I squeeze the butt, squeeze and push, there's just that tiniest little bit of movement from here to here, and I can feel a stretch all down the front of my leg. My torso is still stacked over my hips, still stacked over that knee. It's really the glutes activating and that slight push forward that's stretching out. Now, your push forward might be more than mine or less than mine. The good thing about this stretch is when you, however tight your glutes are, if you squeeze those glutes and push forward, they're gonna stop at their end range of motion. So even if I squeeze and push, if it had just stopped there, that's my end range of motion and that's fine. That's where I'm gonna be stretching out, and I can feel that stretch all down the front. I do not want to take my torso and lean back and push forward. Yes, I feel a stretch here, but I feel it in my quad. I feel it lower down in that mid leg, and I wanna feel it right in here. So again, non-working lunge, squeeze the butt, squeeze, push forward, and it's just that little bit of range of motion, but I can feel that stretch in the hip flexor. That's your dragon, 30 seconds per side on that. Now we're gonna take it back down to the ground again. And we're gonna start stretching out that lower back, still great area for the sciatic nerve to be stretched out. All I'm gonna do is take one knee and just kind of bring it to my chest. Hold this for 30 seconds aside. That other leg, try to force to the ground. We don't want the hips to roll back with this one. I want to try to keep this leg down. As soon as you feel the hips try to pop up and roll forward, so now they're neutral on the ground, now they're trying to roll forward. As soon as you start to feel that butt popping off the ground, just focus on trying to keep them down a little bit and hold. Do this 30 seconds per side. That's going to be great for the lower back, around that sciatic nerve area. You might feel this stretch in the hip flexors a little bit, and that's okay. Again, that's just your end range of motion. Now, your pancake with a reach. Great stretch here because it usually lets us know how inflexible we are. So my legs are gonna be out like so, and now what I'm gonna do is just lean forward a little bit until you stop. I'm gonna take one arm and just try to reach for my opposite shoe. So you can see my hand is in line with my shoe there. So I'm not kind of just doing this. It's a purposeful reach forward. Feel a stretch in both of my hamstrings here, near the glutes, so we're getting the top of that hamstring, and I'm stretching, trying to get the whole side of my rib cage to stretch. That's your pancake with a reach, 30 seconds per side on the reaches here. Now your next one, almost done. We got 4 stretches to go. Squat hold with a twist. Thoracic extension and flexion is very important when we talk about mobility in our torso and our chest. So you're gonna do a squat hold as low as you can go, right? No more than full range of motion. We don't need to bottom out in this. Even if I just hold here, what I'm gonna do is take one arm and I'm gonna reach up to the sky, and my eyes are gonna follow that hand. Back down, reaching up to the sky, right like so. Trying to keep my hips square to the ground. So right now, they're square to the ground. Now they're not. You can see I've really opened up here, but my hips are facing an angle. They're not facing down anymore. So you might find that maybe in your squat with a twist, you're here, and that's okay, right? Find that end range of motion. Don't allow these hips to open up like so, okay? Because I feel it less in my spine and more kind of in this area, and we don't want that. So that's your squat hold with a twist, working on spinal flexion and extension. Very important. Now, shoulder circles. Let's take it to those shoulders. We're gonna do 10 per side, each direction. So just like those ankle rotations, you're gonna end up doing 20 on each side, 10 forward, 10 backwards. So we've done this one in past mobility videos. I'm gonna hold the front of my shoulder, and just like those ankle rotations where we talked about really hitting each area of the joint, it's the same here. So think about 10 seconds per rotation is a good place to start. You can go a little faster than that too. So I've got everything flexed, right? So I've got flexed shoulder, my palms nice and open. I'm coming up nice and slowly, really trying to hit every portion of that circle. As I get to the top, my hand starts going palm away, and I'm reaching down, so that way my palm is right back to my side. If you want to see this from the front, I've got palm facing my side, coming up nice and slow. Think about, kind of visualize that circle. I'm trying to hit every point of that circle. I'm at the top, so now my hand's gonna face away. It's okay if the body moves a little bit. Really just focusing on that shoulder, nice and slow, so that way my hand is back to my side, okay? And it's okay if the arm kind of comes out this way, right? It's not gonna be in line with our whole body because that's not how our anatomy works. So it's okay if the hand comes out and the body kind of twists, but really just visualize that ball and socket joint, trying to hit every portion of that circle. Once you're done with those shoulder circles, scapula range of motion. So continuing working on the upper back now, I'm gonna do the same thing that I did with the shoulder circles. I'm gonna hold the front of this just because I really wanna focus on just moving the shoulder blade here, nothing more. So my hand is gonna be at 90 degrees, sorry, my elbow's at 90 degrees. And what I'm gonna do is move my shoulder blade up, forward, down, and back. So it's less my shoulder, more my shoulder blade. So think about, visualize that shoulder blade moving up, forward, down, and back. All right? So if you want to see this from the other side, I'm here, I'm up, forward, down, back. Back to neutral. Up, forward, down, back. Now when you do this one, you're gonna think, man, I'm not really doing anything, it doesn't seem right. Then you're doing it right, okay? Really just focus on little motions in that shoulder blade. I don't wanna do this. Up with my shoulder, move the shoulder out, down, back. Big motions like that, you're no longer isolating the shoulder blade. It should be tight, up, forward, down, back, right? I'm not using the shoulder, using that shoulder blade. Up, forward, down, back is 1. You're gonna do 10 of those complexes per side, okay? Finally, the worm stretch. The worm stretch, one of my favorites. This is an active stretch, but you're gonna be on the ground, feet together, toes pointed, arms overhead, head down, and you're just trying to get as long as possible. So we're just trying to stretch the whole body out. It's an active stretch, so actively try to reach up, actively try to push those toes down, hold for 30 seconds aside. And that's gonna be the end of our mobility program. So this was a long video. Like I said, as you get this routine down, it'll get shorter and shorter and shorter for you. The first couple times are gonna be the longest. And play around with some of these stretches. You might not be perfect in every single stretch, but that's the great thing about mobility is the more often you do it, the more that you'll see that slow and steady progress. Keep in mind that the 90-90 pigeon stretch and the shin to box with the emphasis on the hip flexor stretch, those two will most likely be the hardest ones, all right? But don't let that intimidate you. If you can't get those two stretches perfectly, try just doing a regular pigeon. We don't need to support our body weight with that regular pigeon at all. And if you're having a hard time with the shin to box one, the dragon pose stretch will take care of those hip flexors for you. So there's a backup built in if you're having a hard time with that shin to box one. Other than that, have fun. Let us know how it's going, or more importantly, if we need any clarification on anything. Thanks, guys.